The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. Joining me today is Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Hello there. Greetings and salutations.
So, Pat, a few weeks ago, you and I and Father Andrew, who couldn't be with us this time, we were discussing email hygiene, tips, techniques, services to help keep our email mailboxes clean as a whistle, like Irish Spring, keep the not full of spam and other junk. And so if folks hadn't listened to that one, you can go back to listen to that at, it was episode 315. And you can find that at starquest.fm/TEC315. And you can find the episode there. But this time we're going to kind of finish out because we didn't get through all of the ideas and all the tips and techniques and software that we want to talk about. I think we were in the middle of talking about some tips and techniques for email hygiene. Let's see, where we left off the last time was we had just talked about whether to back up your email or not, and we were going to get into some more ideas. And one of the first ones is, the next one is, consider using aliases or disposable email addresses for your shopping, newsletters, trials of software, to help protect your main inbox and spot any accounts that might get compromised. If you start getting emails to that disposable email address from other things, you know that somebody leaked your email. Pat, do you do any of that with yours?
I don't do the disposable addresses. I have an alternate email address I use. Mm-hmm. Basically, I set it up for, I won't say it's a honeypot, but it's for the things that I can live without or that I'm tired of. But yes, Gmail, I have used it a couple of times to set up something for a conference. And then afterwards, that email will go away. And I have clients that do that. They go on a cruise. They don't want to give out their real email. So they make a disposable address, and therefore they know when it's been a year, they don't need to talk to those people anymore.
Right. Well, one of the nice things you can do with Gmail, and I know there's a couple of other services you can do with, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but Gmail does this, is if you put, say, my Gmail account is Dominic@gmail.com. If I put Dominic plus the plus sign and anything else, it will send to it when it's sending the email, it ignores everything from the plus afterward. So if I put Dominic plus Sears, oh my gosh, that's a blast from the past, Dominic plus Sears at gmail.com, it will come to Dominic@gmail.com. And when it comes in, I can filter based on that. I can say anything that comes to that address should go into this have this label, because that's how Gmail works, is labels. And so it's a good way of keeping track of things, labeling things, and also seeing who's, if I start seeing emails from another defunct company, Kmart, going to that email address, I'm like, oh, Sears sold my email address to Kmart or something.
Or it got stolen.
Or something. But I know something has happened that I didn't want to happen. And then I can, at some point start directing all the emails to that account right into the trash if I wanted to block it. Another alternative is if you're an iCloud user, if you Apple iCloud, you can get, what do they call them? They're like dummy addresses. Basically, it's a random string of letters and numbers that forwards to your real iCloud account. So Dominic@iCloud.com. But you can set them up on a per sender basis, so that at any point in the future, I can just blow away that email address, that fake, the alias email address, and anything they send there will bounce back to them. So they can't contact me anymore if I don't want to hear from them anymore. So that's a it's a handy way of doing things to do it. Father Andrew had left us when we were doing our outline for the first episode we did. He left an example where he gets an emailed daily comics newsletter from them, and so he has it sent to his Gmail account, so whatever his Gmail account is, plus comics@gmail.com, and so then he can use the filters to route it properly to so that it goes to the right place. So it's a nice little trick that you can do. Unfortunately, it's a well-known trick, so some people get around it by intentionally
dropping off the plus.
lopping off anything from the plus afterward when they send it, and so it's not foolproof, but it's handy.
But that idea, whether you're using an alias or whether you're using an alternate email account, it protects your main inbox from getting stuff that doesn't need to be in there. Right.
There's nothing that says you can't just set up a whole separate Gmail or Fastmail or Yahoo Mail or anything other account. I have iCloud accounts. I have Gmail accounts. I have multiple email accounts that I use for different purposes.
So many of my clients have a single email address, and then something happens to that, and they are hung. They cannot send email.
That's
so even if they set up one of these to be an alternate, here's my mailing, my newsletters, here's my Pottery Barn mailing list. At least they would have an email then they could send and receive from in an emergency.
Right. If you have a Gmail account or a Google account, which most people do these days, I guess, in the security settings, there's a place to put a backup recovery email account. It could be your spouse. It could be even your work email, although I don't recommend that, because if you ever change jobs, you could.
It's hard to remember to change that.
Exactly. But you could put in a whole separate email account. And again, I would not make it another Google email. I would make it something in a whole separate service, whether it's iCloud or Fastmail or anything else. But just keep them to the stream separate, so that if something bad happens here, you can recover over there. So it's just that's a really important tip. Multiple accounts. So another tip I want to offer folks is pick a fixed time, put it in your reminders, weekly, monthly, to archive, delete, and unsubscribe. So basically to do some house cleaning, some hygiene in your email accounts. Go through your mail, your folders, your archive folder, and look, and even your spam folder. Delete old spam. Make sure there's no false positives, or was it false? I can't keep it straight. False negatives. Whereas it's like it accidentally labels something as spam that wasn't. Train it. Say no, that's not spam. But go through, delete go through your archive and delete anything you don't really need. And you may have archive of tens of thousands of emails. Don't do that. Don't bother with that. But maybe go back a month, and over time, then you will have. If you do this on a consistent monthly basis, you will have a pretty good clean archive, at least going back to when you start doing this practice. And be consistent, make it a set time that helps train you, and you'll thank yourself when the time comes when you need to find something that's actually important, and you're not wading through so much junk. Why did I ever save this? And it's fine. If you need to save something for now, I'm going to archive this email now because I might need it in 2 weeks, but I'm certain I won't need it in a month and a half. So a month goes by and you're like, okay, yeah, the need for this email, this whole situation has been resolved. I'm not going to need this. I can just get rid of it now. And clean things up. Keep your email archives clean. Keep your folders where your newsletters are coming in. If you haven't read all your newsletters, frankly, if you're not reading, I get some newsletters that I don't read every day. In fact, I hardly ever read them, but I get them so I can scan them. And in case there's something
search
I want
through them. Yeah.
And in case it's I scan headlines or whatever, because in case there's something that pops out of me, I don't have time to read every single newsletter I get. But eventually there comes a point where I'm like, I should probably just unsubscribe from that because it's not doing anything for me. It's just taking up my time.
Or you could say just get rid of the previous anything older than 2 months. You're not going to need again, especially
Right.
in the tech field.
Right.
It doesn't need to be very long before it's stale.
Yeah, or definitely with news related stuff, get rid of it right away because that gets stale really quickly. And if you need to find information about some news item, you've got
Google.
the entire web to look at. You can
Or
go
AI.
find it. Yeah, exactly.
One of my clients, in fact, I've actually had a couple of clients ask me recently, how do I go through and get rid of emails before a certain date? Gmail has a good way of doing that. You can put anything, you can basically tell it anything before such and such a date. Now, they're a little tricky on the wording of it and in terms, so they would go through their several folders and say anything older than 7 years, financially, I am not responsible for that if more than 7 years ago.
Right.
So
Yeah, you can set up filters for, find everything on or before this date in these folders, for instance. You could do that.
And then you could delete them all. Yeah,
Yep.
You can delete. I love doing that with newsletters or sales brochures saying, anything that came from Pottery Barn, except for the last one, get rid of it.
Yeah.
It sure is nice sitting in front of the TV with a laptop or something and doing that because you feel like you've accomplished a lot.
there is a nice sense of accomplishment when you do this sort of thing. You're deleting these things and you see your available space grow. That is really nice. So another one, a tip I want to give you is use most mail programs. Mail services, whether it's web-based or software, they allow you to use stars or flags or tags on individual email items. Use these to mark up items needing further action or follow-up, and then move it out of your inbox. Like, don't keep like a lot of people, and I do this occasionally, use the inbox as a sort of ersatz to-do list, the reminder list, like, I need to do something about these things. And in fact, if I looked at my email inbox right now, I'd find a few things. But one thing you should do, and I need to be better at following my own advice. I do this with some things, but I put a flag on it and then I move it into another folder. And then I use Apple Mail. I set up a smart folder for anything with that flag, wherever it is in my all of my folders. Show me in this smart folder. And so it brings it all kind of together in one place so I can deal with it later. And then clear the flag, the tag, the star when you've dealt with it so that it's not still flagged there, trying to get your attention. Yes. But Google has a snooze feature too, which lets you snooze things that are time critical emails. So they will pop up in the inbox later, so they're not forgotten. Every once in a while, you'll come back to your email inbox and say, "Hey, did this ever get taken care of?" It's trying to use some smarts to figure that out. But so it's really it can be handy for folks.
I use that feature a lot, especially if I'm making an appointment for somebody like in 2 weeks and I've got an email from them. I'll just snooze it to the day before my appointment with them so I can refresh it and refresh my memory. And same thing with doctor appointments and stuff like that. Snooze comes in really handy to say, okay, let me look at this in a week, or let me look at it the day before I really need it. And it doesn't clutter up everything.
Yeah. I use SaneBox for this a lot, and I will get back to that in a minute. But I also use OmniFocus as my to-do list software of choice. It's not an email software, but when you have an OmniFocus, when you buy OmniFocus, you get a custom email address, and whatever you email to that email address will show up in your inbox for your to-do list. At the OmniFocus to-do list, and so I will often BCC emails to people. Put the BCC to that, and so that it shows up in my to-do list, so that I know. Well, then later on when I'm going through my to-do list, I said it. Okay, go check back with this person in 2 days, or 3 days, or a week, or whatever it is, to make sure that they've responded. People not responding to emails is my. It's my thing. Well, I need something from you. Please respond. So
I'm using Todoist for my to-do list, and it has a feature that if you mark something with a date and time and you link your Gmail account, it'll put it in your Gmail calendar in a different color. And that way I can see it. I can remember it. If I just had it in the to-do list and I forgot to put it in my calendar, it's a great double check.
That is nice. Yeah.
And so that's been real handy.
Yeah, Fantastical and I'm not sure if it's a Fantastical or Gmail thing, but my OmniFocus to-dos, if they have a date on them, will also show up in my Fantastical. I don't know if that's, again, like, I don't know if that's a Gmail thing or a Fantastical thing, but I just know it's there.
They work together.
They do work together. So one thing I would suggest is turn off email notifications on your phone, except for priority accounts. So you can set particular contacts as priority contacts. My wife is a priority contact. If she's sending me an email, like, we usually talk to each other multiple times a day. So if she's emailing something to me, it's probably important. She emailed me today an email having to do with something to do with my daughter's Eagle Scout project. So that's an important email, and I get a push alert. Also, our CFO at SQPN is on my priority list. So she's emailing me something. It's probably important. I want a push alert. But everybody else, nobody else, who is not on that list I don't get email notifications from them because of notification fatigue. The more notifications you get, the less you pay attention to them. We'll be talking about this a little bit in our headlines later on, something related to this. But, so turn off all email notifications except for a very select group of people, your boss, maybe, or a subordinate. I mean, whatever it is, but, make sure that you're not overloaded with notifications so that things aren't getting lost in all the alerts.
I go one step further and I turn off the badges on
yes.
Yes. And so only one account has badges ever show for email. Because
yes.
The rest of them are just, these other accounts. I don't need to see those, the newsletters, their receipts, whatever. So that's really helped me too.
To quote a great Clint Eastwood spaghetti Western, we don't need no stinking badges.
That's it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a tiny bit of OCD or whatever, but I hate badges, like seeing unread messages or unread notifications on it. And there is a long running issue in my Gmail account in Apple Mail where it says I have an unread message, but there is no unread messages in there. I've done for years. I've rebuilt the database, rebuilt the envelope, the mail envelope. I cannot get rid of it. It's like St. Paul's thorn in the side. It's a little bit. It's just I want to get rid of it. But yes, turn off the badges, except for, like we said, the most important things. My wife is notorious about her inbox and her email hygiene, and her badge on her Gmail says something like 15,000. It's like,
it's meaningless at that point.
Yes, it doesn't.
It's just beating you over the head with it.
Yes, it's everything, and everything is in there. It doesn't matter anymore. So the next tip is review what services are connected to your Gmail or Outlook or whatever. We often are, using OAuth, the OAuth services. You can sign into other services using your Google sign in, your Facebook sign in, your Apple sign in. Does Facebook still do that? I don't know if they still do that anymore, but I know you can do it. I haven't seen
that in a while.
Yeah. You could do it with Apple. You can do it with Google. There's a couple others. So if you've got an Apple ID or if you've got a Google account, you're actually signing into Google, and then it's saying, hey, let them in.
And create an account for you over there.
Yeah. But what you want to do is you want to go into Google security settings. You want to go to Apple security settings every once in a while and look at who is actually, who have you given permission to access that account. There are Facebook ones. There's other social media services. X has that too, where you can connect services to them. And every once in a while, you want to go in and check all of those to see who have I given permission to and who am I not using anymore? Like, what services do not need that anymore, and just blow them away, knock them out, get rid of them.
Like some of the trip services want to get to your email so they can tell you, itineraries and things like that. And sometimes you forget, I'm not using that service anymore.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I want to pull up my Google. When you go, you'll be surprised to see how many things are there. So I'm going into my Google account now, and I want to, let's see, manage your Google account. So you go to google.com, you click on your little picture in the top right, manage my Google account. You go to, is it data and privacy? Data from apps and services? No, it's probably security. There's a couple different places.
I always search privacy, for it. I can't remember.
Yeah, security, people and sharing. I mean, it's all those things. Probably not. That's how you sign in. Oh, so under security, your connection to third parties, apps and services. Okay, and I've got like 26 different ones in there on my personal account.
Wow.
Airtable, which is a database.
You do a lot of automated stuff that really helps you with that stuff.
Amazon Alexa, Claude, ChatGPT, Fantastical, ID.me. Oh, that's the government ID thing. Yeah.
I don't know why they would need access to your Google account, though.
That's how I signed in originally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, instead of setting up an email, email and password with them. MimeStream. Actually, I don't use MimeStream, so there's one I could get rid of. Movies Anywhere. Perplexity. QR Code Generator Pro. I don't think I'm using that for anything, so I could get rid of that. So go through, look at it. Hey, it's actually, I look at this. Mine's pretty clean because I do look at it every once in a while. So it's not too bad. The Facebook and like the Meta and X ones, those can get pretty messy. There's some pretty nasty stuff that can show up in there. If you ever do like the quizzes and other meme, internet sort of thingies, it can get kind of messy in those. So just take a look, see what it is. And even if you're blowing away, next time you go to log in, it'll be like, hey, you need to log in again. Okay, I didn't mean to knock that out. I didn't realize what that was. So review that every once in a while. Here's another one. Never use the default email service that comes with your internet provider. Pat, what do you probably give this advice to a lot of people?
Yes, I have a lot of clients that use cable services here in Austin. And one of the little known benefits of that cable service is they give you an email address, of course, and people start using it, and then they start depending on it. And then they find they need to move to a retirement center, or they have to go into assisted living, and lo and behold, that email address, if they move, it's gone.
Because they're getting rid of their cable, their service connection.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's gone. It's cut off. And there was one guy across the street that almost had a divorce because his wife did that. And all of a sudden, he lost access to a lot of mail that was coming in there. The other thing is typically the services that come with your provider, like Cox or Spectrum or whatever, they don't have very good email systems. They're antiquated, and they're hard to set up, and they're hard to use. And if you go to the web, they're awful. And they have very limited data space. But the biggest thing is that either, number one, you lose access when you move, or number two, like AT&T will let you keep the address, but they won't help you with it. So if you have a problem with your email address and password, you're out of luck. I mean, you might get somebody to help you, but they're not obligated. You're not paying them a thing anymore because you're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's very dangerous to keep just a Cox.net or Spectrum or whatever. If that's your only email address and you're getting everything you need through there, you better set up another one, whether it's Hotmail or MSN.com or Gmail, God forbid Yahoo. But there's some other ones out there. I have some people using something that used to be called P.O. Box, but that's gone away, and I think they're using Proton Mail or something instead.
Proton's another one.
And there's some other ones out there that are good. It's just that people don't know about them.
Right. And some of them you have to pay a few bucks for them, but you kind of get what you pay for too. If you're using your free Gmail account, and I have a free Gmail account, actually I'm paying for my Gmail account because I get extra storage. But if you're using a free account, as you always say, you're either the customer or the product, and if you're not paying, you're probably the product. So just keep that in mind. You want to. Email is so important. It's such a lifeline, such a connection to everything these days. I bet I have a Verizon email. I've had Verizon.
It's usually given to you when you sign up, and it may still be there, but if you never count on it, it's not as dangerous. Yeah,
I'm sure it's full of spam right now because I've had Verizon as my internet connection for more than a decade at this point. and I don't think I ever looked into that account. Who knows what it is in there? But yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't know how many clients I have during the year that have lost their email accounts. They can't get them back. They, whether it's a Gmail that they've forgotten the password and they didn't use a telephone number to back it up, or they didn't use an alternate email. They're in hurt. They are really hurting because they don't have any of the correspondence they need that the banks are looking for or whatever. It's just, it's really sad.
Like if you lose your phone, you can always get your phone number on a new phone. You call you contact the phone service, company, Mint or AT&T or Verizon, whatever it is, and they'll get you set up on a new phone. But with email, none of these companies are really looking out for you unless you are using one of these paid services. They don't care. They're not going to help you.
Like with Google, a free Gmail account, there's some services they will offer you through the website.
Yep.
But if you have a Google One account where you're paying for extra storage, you have more capability of getting in and saying, "Hey, I can't get back into my account," and somebody can actually help them.
Right. Same thing with iCloud. Like if you're paying for iCloud, if you have a problem, there's customer support. Heck, you go to an Apple store and they could probably help you, with some of that. They might have to refer you to the online.
Mostly that's advanced tech that the people in the store won't know. So.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's good. It's good to keep in mind. So another important tip is email. Remember, email is not secure. Anything you send in an email, it's like writing it on the back of a postcard and just throwing it in a public mailbox. Everyone that mail passes, and your email does not necessarily go directly to where you're sending it. It goes through multiple servers. You can look at the headers if you know what to look for. You can look at the headers of email. You can see all the servers that it touches. It is not secure. It's not designed to be secure in its most basic form. You can secure email. You can encrypt it, but that's a whole nother level of work that it's hard.
It's not for the average Joe.
In fact, I don't ever try because it's such a pain. And if I need to send something encrypted, I have other ways of doing it, like using a Signal app or even messages is encrypted end to end, like Apple Messages.
And a lot of times, if somebody wants to try to use an encryption service, both people have to have the same service in order to be able to exchange mail within that service. And so that, most people, they don't want that for their average mail. Nobody can say, "Oh, you've got to sign up for this to get this email from me." Exactly. So people are using, DocuSign and things like that to get around that type of problem. Right.
So just don't email passwords, social security numbers, bank information, pictures of your credit cards, pictures of your passport, account attachments with unencrypted, personally
bank
identifiable
statements.
information. Yeah, account numbers, bank account numbers. Don't do that. You could, you can encrypt attachments and then send the password for the encrypted attachment via another method, like text or
phone call.
A phone call. Right. There's other ways, but never send. Like I've seen people send credit card numbers in email, and you don't even know who's at the other end necessarily. So email is not secure. Just assume anything you write in an email could be put on a billboard in Times Square.
And one of my reasons that some of my people will do that is so that they can find it later. So I would say that a lot of times when there's something you want to make sure that you've got, don't keep it just in the email or don't put it there and leave it there. Go ahead and download it as an attachment, as a PDF, print it to a PDF, save it in your own files where you know how to get to it, but don't leave it in the email.
Right. Yeah. If you've received something in email that's sensitive, either print it out on paper or print it to PDF and save that PDF separately and then delete the email, or archive it, whatever. But, get rid of the email. Yep. Another one, and this is an interesting point, is email is no longer a good way to send photos to people. Photos are massive files these days. My iPhone 17 takes 50 megapixel photos. That's and just a handful of those is going to, like most email, I think it's like 5 megabytes is the general limit that for most accounts. Some will do more nowadays, I guess.
Right. It used to be 2. Like if you had a server that was attached to a website, 2 megabytes was all you could do. And then I think it's maybe up to 5 or 10.
Right.
But Gmail and Outlook and Yahoo have upped that limit, but it's only 25 megabytes. So that may be, not even 2 pictures.
Right.
With some people's phone.
So the best thing to do is either send it in a message like WhatsApp or, the texting, it's how most photos get shared among my family these days is in messages or WhatsApp. Another thing I often do is if I need to send someone a large file is I put it in Dropbox, and then on a Mac, and I'm sure it's something similar on the Windows, if I right click on the file in the Dropbox, I can get a copy Dropbox link.
Right.
It says copy the Dropbox link, and I can give that link, that URL in the email to somebody, and then they'll click on the link when they get the email. It'll open up their web browser and they can download the file from there. So it's, then I could just send them a 100 gigabyte file, that way. But you don't want to attach it in an email.
Now, Google will try to look at that and say, okay, it's bigger than a certain amount. I'll put it in Google Drive and send a link instead.
Okay.
So they're helpful that way, but not all the services are.
Apple Mail has an ability to, if you drop a big photo, they will offer to say, what we can, we'll put this file in iCloud and then replace the file in the email with a link for you.
Same thing as Google. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a nice feature. So, videos, photos, large folders, files, presentations, all that sort of stuff. Every once in a while I want to clean out my email. And actually, here's another tip. When you go into your email archive, sort by size, and you might be surprised to find some emails with some very large attachments that are in there. Sometimes attachments of people's signatures. People have put photos in their signatures that are megabytes large. People don't do this, folks. Don't that's just such a waste of bandwidth and space. But then you can delete those attachments or those emails with attachments, save yourself some of your storage space in your email account.
I did want to make one comment about messages. I do have a situation where family members have put 16 photos in a iMessage, and not everybody got all the messages because there's just too much volume even for a message.
Oh, okay.
So there again, if you could set up a shared album with iCloud, that's great.
Yep.
With Google, there's some shared photo albums that you can use if you're on the Android side. And Google Drive, there's lots of different ways to do the sharing. There are some file systems like SendFile, and there used to be a whole bunch of ones that would handle large attachments.
Right.
And basically, they use their cloud to send them, and people would get a link.
Right, exactly. So the email programs that let you have multiple email accounts. So that we talked about having, you should always have more than one email account. Oh, well, how do I check them? Do I have to go to like 4 different or 2 different at least websites constantly to check my email? Well, you could download or use a built-in email program, and there are on Windows and on Mac, there are email programs, and on iOS and on Android, there are email programs that'll let you have multiple email accounts in one program. So I use Apple Mail on my both my Mac and on my phone and on my iPad, and I have 2 or 3 different. I have a Gmail, iCloud, accounts in there, and that's not a problem. It even a unified inbox where I can look at all my email from all my accounts in one place. Although I generally don't like to do that.
Nice thing about those is they are still separate inboxes. It's just showing you them in one place.
Yes,
and that's true with Thunderbird, with Outlook, with Apple Mail, and there's another one I use a lot, EM Client.
Okay.
All of those, if they're resident on your computer, then it can do this. If you try to use them on the web, you get different results.
Yeah, right.
And they're not happy.
Right. So definitely. If you are having multiple email accounts that you need to check on a regular basis, think about one of these programs to help you. If you don't like using the built-in ones, Thunderbird is a decent alternative.
It's
certainly.
not pretty, but it works really well.
Yeah. And if you have to live in Microsoft 365, Outlook is, some people don't have a choice. Their company says you must use Outlook until you use Outlook, but Outlook's not bad.
And there are two flavors of Outlook now. There is the classic one, which all the businesses have been using for years. And it lets you have lots of mailboxes and lots of personal storage files that are not on the web. This, quote, new Outlook is only IMAP, and all of it's on the web, but it lets you see 5 or 6 mailboxes all there, and it keeps them separate. It does a good job of that. It's just you don't have any personal files that you could like save things to local.
Right.
And it is really doesn't have all the filters and all of that. And Microsoft has been tricking people that when they get an upgrade to Windows, all of a sudden new Outlook takes the place of the Outlook icon, and all of a sudden they have to sign into there, and they don't know what hit them.
Oh,
so that's nasty, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if you buy Office, the full business version, or even 365, and you download it, you don't get Outlook. You've paid for it. And you can go get it, but it's not given to you.
It's not automatically downloaded. You have to go.
No.
You have to go download it.
They expect you to use the built-in free Windows new Outlook, and they've dropped the new off of it now, so it just says Outlook.
Huh. Microsoft.
I know. I could stab them.
So another one is if you have a need to send out lots of emails on a regular basis, like have an email that's going to a lot of different people at once, at some point you may need to move beyond using your personal email account. You know, if you have this 10, 15 people that they email regularly, that's probably fine. But if you're sending out a couple dozen, 100 more, you want to probably move to an actual newsletter service, a newsletter website like MailChimp, like Constant Contact. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Many of them have free levels for basic, under a couple hundred, maybe users. I'm not sure. At SQPN right now we use MailChimp, but there's others. MailChimp got bought by Intuit, and I'm not loving how they've changed the service. We'll see how long we stay with MailChimp long term. But you want, and one of the reasons you want to do that is because if you send an email to a lot of people from your personal account, you may get labeled as a spammer by the servers. They may see you as exhibiting spammer-like behavior, and that could cause your emails to end up in junk mail more often. Whereas the big services, they have agreements with a lot of the big email providers to say, we're going to do a really good job of keeping spammers off of our systems. And in return, we ask that you not label our users as spammers and let their emails get to the inboxes instead of ending up in the junk mail. So that's I think an important thing to keep in mind if you have a need for that.
And I have had clients that, they were part of a volunteer organization, and they send out lots of newsletters, and all of a sudden they couldn't send a thing. Their provider blocked them because they were sending too many per day, more than the limit. And you can send more if you're using an online email server than you can if you're sitting on a program like Outlook or Apple Mail.
Right.
But, you can be marked, not just that your stuff goes into spam, but you can be blocked from sending.
Right. Right.
And that's a pain and a half.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. And this is like if you run a club at your church or a prayer group or scout troop or anything like that, these are the sorts of things where you might have a need for sending out groups of emails to people.
I think that there are some mail services. I don't know whether MailChimp and Constant Contact are them. Are ones, but that I think that will cater to nonprofits.
Right.
And so if you've got something like a volunteer organization, it may be that some of these are reasonable as opposed to having to pay big bucks for it.
Yeah. Flocknote, I'm sorry, Flocknote's something different. I'm going to mention them in a second, but MailChimp has a nonprofit discount that they do offer. We take advantage of that. Flocknote is a service that is specifically markets itself to churches, Catholic churches, and to allow the church and the church groups to communicate to the parishioners in a multitude of different ways. The parishioner gets to decide how they want to receive the communications, whether it's text or email, or I'm not sure what all the options are, but those are the two main ones. So you might want to check out, if you have a church, check out Flocknote. That's a really nice service. They're really great. Friends of SQPN. We know we've been long friends with the founders of that. So let's move on to talk about some tools. And again, we've spent a lot of time on our tips. So this is such a great topic. So I want to quickly run through some tools that we've mentioned in passing, but just kind of mention them again. So tools for email hygiene. So here's some cross-platform ones. SaneBox. I've mentioned SaneBox many times. SaneBox automatically moves your email into specially designated folders. So for example, you train it over time. So when you sign up, you give it access to your Gmail account, and I think they do somebody beside. I forget, they might do another email provider too nowadays, but I've always used them with Gmail. And so they set up special email box in folders at Sane News, at Sane Later, at Sane Black Hole, so on and so forth. And you can set up specialty ones, and you train it. So anything that's news related, I've trained it to automatically move the email to the Sane News folder. Sane Later is for important but not the most important. And so when anything comes into the inbox, it automatically, it's almost like a filter, moves things where it needs to go. And you can train it. And if there is a persistent spammer or persistent emailer who you just don't want to see their email anymore, you cannot seem to get them to train the junk mail the system in Gmail to make it spam. You can't unsubscribe. You put it in Sane Black Hole, and that's where it will always go. You will never see it again. It's a powerful tool. Be careful. But they also have something called Sane Reminders, and this is related to what we were talking about before, is if I take an email and if I forward it, or even if I BCC to some sort of date at sanebox.com, so tomorrow, Thursday, 6 days, 2 weeks, anything like that, it will take that email, move it out of my folder, the inbox, and then when the time comes, whatever that email address is, it will bring the email back into your folder and say, hey, you wanted to be reminded about this. It's a great little tool. So I need to deal with this. It's important, but I can't deal with it now. I want to deal with it in a week. It's great for that. I often do that with important emails that come in, work emails that come in like on a Friday. I want to deal with this on Monday. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want this in my inbox over the weekend driving me crazy. Bring it back on Monday. So that's a nice. It works for cross-platform. It's platform agnostic. Another service that's cross-platform is called Unroll.me. Unroll.me. This lets you batch unsubscribe from newsletters and promotions. There is a caveat, though. They were acquired by a company called Slice that does data harvesting of information from email accounts. They were found to be harvesting data from users' emails to use in their anonymized data. They create reports to say people are buying Apple, the new Apple phones, and they base it on the email receipts that people are getting. That sort of stuff. They claim to be anonymizing the data that they're pulling out of people's accounts, but the real problem was just the lack of transparency about it. Like they had to get caught in order to explain we were anonymizing the data when they should have just been up front, where you were taking anonymized data out of in your accounts by using our service. So caveat, but it's still a useful tool. It can be a useful tool to unsubscribe from newsletters and promotions. Now, some Mac software that, and we'll talk about some Windows software in a second, but some Mac software that might be useful. Mail Steward is they call themselves the ultimate email manager. They are great for long-term Mac email archiving. It's a mail archiving and backup solution. Some people just have a need or desire to keep lots and lots of their email. And this is a way to get it out of the email program into something else. And then Mail Steward is really good at letting you search. Mail search is the Apple Mail search and Google Mail search is really good as it is, but this takes it to another level for you. So That's pretty good. It's a paid service, paid email. I use a tool called DevonThink. It really replaces Evernote for me, or at least part of what I used Evernote for. It can be a storage and search place and automation place for all kinds of data, but email is one of them, and it can even ingest and index email automatically for you. So that's really a nice backup service if you want. And then it can do that alongside other types of documents. Like, so if you have project-based work, with the PDFs and presentations and images and video files or whatever it is that you need that all goes together, it can put all those, in the emails and all that together in one place. And that can be really useful. And then another Mac software is Eagle Filer. And like Mail Steward, it's another archival. It can archive email and attachments. It's searchable offline, all that sort of stuff. So from those are some Mac software. For Windows, Outlook has an auto archive function for clean, it's like a built-in archiving and cleanup function.
Yeah, so I don't like it very much, though.
Yeah, as we say, it's basic and probably not up to standard for a lot of these others. There is one called Mail Store, which is this is intended for individuals. It gives you free archiving. If you pay, it can do some server-based enterprise level archiving. But for just an individual Joe, this is a pretty good solution for archiving your email. M Client or EM Client, you mentioned earlier, is a powerful Outlook alternative. Includes integrated backup, in PGP support, which is that encrypted email support, smart rules. So that's nice. There's a open source project that requires you to download it from GitHub. So it's a little technical, but it's called Mbox Viewer, and it allows you to view a downloaded Gmail Mbox. Mbox is a file format, so it allows you to download the Google Mbox as a backup, so that you can back up your Gmail essentially.
Yeah, and that I've actually used so that somebody could go back and look at old emails and then to get them off of the server if they wanted, but that way they could keep them on the local machine. And there's several different email programs. I think Thunderbird and EM Client will also be able to read the inbox files. So
okay, good, yeah. And then your mail host can also do some backup for you. Like, for example, Google Takeout is a service that lets you download any of your Google data, whether it's YouTube or whatever, your search history, all that sort of stuff. But Google, your Gmail is one of those things you can download as a big chunk. You can
it might take 5 or 6 zip files to get it down, depending upon how much you've got. But then that inbox viewer can go in and read it once you've unzipped it.
Yep. And then Apple will also let you download your iCloud email if you need to. And we'll have links to where you can do these things, explanations where you can do this sort of thing. Outlook lets you copy your IMAP folders.
Yeah, so like if you set up Outlook and you've got 3 or 4 email systems that you're reading stuff from, Outlook can take any one of those accounts and export them into a format then that you can have offline and save it off and look at it. And so it's kind of similar to Google's Takeout, but it's letting another program massage and put that in a backup that you can get to within Outlook later on.
Good. And this is just as a backup situation. Like if something happened to your Gmail account, your iCloud account, or whatever it is, at least if it all got blown away, wiped out somehow, at least you'd have this backup of these important emails.
And for some of my clients, they don't care. If it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. But
with others, they're small businesses or whatever, and their whole history of working with their clients is in there. So taking a periodic backup is a good idea.
Definitely. And of course, Thunderbird, we've talked about a few times, that will also let you create a local named folder, and then you can select emails and copy them to that locally on your drive. So it's a kind of backup.
It's a non-destructive backup, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So that is our second part of our email hygiene, man, we really cleaned house with the email over these 2 episodes. So, folks, if you have any tips or techniques for keeping your email clean, or if you have further questions, please let us know at technology@sqpn.com, and we'd love to address them in our future episode. Now, before we move on, we do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Brian T., Tim H., Ron T., a different Tim H., I have to specify, and Samantha K. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So we have a headline. I think you shared this one with us, Pat. It's from ZDNet, and the headline says, phishing training doesn't stop your employees from clicking scam links. Here's why. And phishing is with the PH, not with the FI. I wish more employees train their employees to go phishing, but no, this is right. Phishing, which is a technique that scammers and bad actors use to trick you into revealing information or letting them into your secure systems through a trick,
or tricking you into taking money out of an account and putting it somewhere else.
Exactly. It's a scam crime. So the article basically says all the training that employers are doing to train people not to fall for phishing attempts isn't working. The people they've done studies and they found that people who've taken the training and versus the people who don't take the training fall for the phishing attempts at the same rate, basically. So that's not good.
No, I don't know what there is. I mean, there's human factors that the scammers are tricking you with, and evidently that they're not trainable.
Right.
I mean, we can tell people, look at the headers, look at the name of the website. We can tell them all that. The thing is when they're tired or when they're in a panic mode or when they're rushed, they don't remember that.
And they're getting better. The scammers, they're fixing their grammar and spelling. And the way they get you is not by, like, it used to be like a really obviously bad link to a bad place, and they're hiding it now. One of the things they found that is subject matter was important to whether a phishing email succeeded or not. Barely anyone clicked a link to update their Outlook password. Here, update your password. You see those. But 30% of participants clicked on a link in an email pretending to be an employer update to vacation policies. Your employer is saying, hey, we're updating our policies. Someone's going to click on that because like, oh, are they taking away more holidays and reducing my vacation time? That's important information to me. And I'm more likely to click on that without thinking. That's the thing, is without thinking. Think. You got to stop and think before clicking. I want to tell you about something scary that happened to me the other day. It was a targeted phishing attack. This wasn't a send it everybody. Random. This was targeted at SQPN. Somebody went and found the names of our podcast hosts. I won't say which one, but a particular podcast host. It's not Jimmy Yakin. It wasn't even like one of the well-known, like the Jimmy, just one of our regular folks. And they they set up an email account that sounded plausible from them, a Gmail account, sent it to our main address, and it was as if they were an employee who wanted to update their bank account information for their direct deposit for their paycheck. Now, what this scammer didn't know is all of our podcast hosts, and it was signed, so-and-so podcast host all of our podcast hosts are volunteers. They don't actually get paid. So I knew right away something was wrong. And I contacted this host and said, did you send an email to, and no, they're not, it couldn't have been from them for various reasons. But it was a very targeted, like they went and found, good. Yeah, they kind of assumed that we're a bigger organization than we are with more employees than we have. And so this could have worked at a parish. I can imagine like a parish secretary getting this and then just like, yeah, sure. What's the new account information? And then that employee's next check would go to the scammer's bank account instead of to theirs. I mean, it's kind of concerning. So I say all this just like we got to be careful with this stuff, because anytime anything having to do with making ourselves less secure or money or anything like that, we got to be careful.
Medical information and money are the two biggest things that we've got to be really careful with.
Right. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, part of it is the fact that email is just a terrible system. It's the worst, but it's what we have. It's not secure. People can spoof. They can make themselves appear to be someone else. There's no secure identity. Way to securely identify
Verify,
who the person is. It's a terrible system, and frankly, we should get away from it as much as we can, and to use maybe like things like Slack or other third party,
or
maybe proprietary encrypted communication systems that cost money. And that's the thing, is email is essentially free, not really, but comparatively it feels free, and so we use it because it's easy, but it's a terrible way of doing business. And it makes us all less secure, because when a hospital or a government or somebody, when one of their employees falls for this, it can affect all of us, even if we're not, bad as our security. If they fall for ransomware or something like that, it could really mess things up. So the article itself, it proposes things like, two-factor or multi-factor authentication, passkeys. As these become more and more common, they will help with the issue, because it won't prevent people from clicking on bad links, but it means when they go to whatever it is, they can't give away their passwords and let people into the system. So just thought that was worth talking about. And we all I think it's a good reminder to be careful when you click on anything in an email.
Well, and I remember reading something like 20 or 30 years ago, they were predicting the end of email with messaging systems and various things. And it's not going to happen.
No,
it just won't. We got to figure out how to make it itself better.
Yes, we do. All right. So let's move on to our picks of the week then. And Pat, why don't you go first? What is your pick this week?
Well, I've seen a lot of articles, including things from governments, talking about don't plug your USB device into a common USB thing at the airport or a coffee shop or whatever, because some of them, and you can't tell by looking at them, they may be compromised so that it's actually sucking up your data. And now phones often will give you a warning. Is it okay to have this accessory open your device? And that would be a good clue. But a lot of times there aren't those protections.
Right.
And so I have seen two different things advertised for travelers, especially. One was a cable that all it does is charge. It does not allow the data to pass through.
It doesn't have the data pin in the end of the cable. Yep.
Yeah, and then the other one that I just found and I got myself for my next trip was it's it's kind of like a wheel with about 4 different connectors on it, so that you can use whether it's USB-A or USB-C, or I don't know if it was Lightning or one of them or something. But anyway, it gave you a good combination of things that no matter what type of cable you're trying to protect, you could do it.
Okay.
So, and they weren't very expensive. The adapter was like, I got 2 of them for $10, and the cable was out of stock at the time I looked, but they've got it back in stock for like $16 for a 55-foot cable.
Yeah, the cable's a USB-C to USB-C at both ends, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a USB-A, then you could get one of the little adapters for it, I guess, and make it into a C to do this connection, but.
Yeah, the data blocker is you have to plug in a USB-A cable to that. But there's probably multiples of these available. There might
and I just picked that one. There may be a USB-A to C to connector, converter.
In fact, if you go to the link in the show notes and scroll down, you'll see that this same company makes USB-C versions of this sort of thing. Good. So you can click on those and get those as well. Like you can get this and the USB-C ones for $20, and you get a whole bunch of them. So,
and what's nice is they're bright red and black, which means that you don't lose them in your other cables.
yes, and in big letters it says data blocker on it, which is good. That's you want to see, make sure you see that. That is really important. I see people plugging into, like, it used to be like you'd have to plug into an outlet with your own cable and charger block, but I see like a lot of places have now like USB ports, and that's dangerous. I
think even the planes now are beginning to put USB charging ports on some of the seat backs.
Yeah, that's why if there's a MagSafe or Qi charger, I'll put my phone on that to charge before I'll plug it in to a thing. But this would help with that. That's awesome. Yeah, it can't pass data. That's the great thing about things. There's no mechanism for data to move through it, just power. All right, so my pick this week is surprise, surprise, the Secrets of Tech drinking game. And so a product from Anchor. Anchor has
Anchor product.
Anchor has a new something called the Anchor Nano charging station, and so it sits on your desk, and it's a 7-in-1 100-watt charger, and it has two retractable USB-C cables, so you can pull them out and then you release it and they go back in. It has I'm trying to remember all 7 things. What was the 7 things? It has USB ports, A and C, USB ports, and on the back it has outlets, so you could plug in, and there's 3 outlets on the back, like regular electrical outlets on it, and then it has a screen on the front to give you information about what kind of how much power it's putting out and that sort of thing, and they can charge a maximum of 100 watts to all the devices that are connected to it. So you could charge your laptop. I keep my iPad plugged into it. It's really nice because I have so many things to charge on my desk all the time. I've got 4 wireless controllers for the Switch, like right next to the desk. So I've got to charge with things, and I've got flashlights. Everything charges now. Like it's rechargeable batteries, flashlights, and fans, and I have all kinds of camping gear that I have to charge USB-C. So it's really nice to have something like this on my desk to just it keeps it nice and neat because it's a retractable cable, but it's there, it's available. So the list price is right now it's $89. I think I got it for $69, but there's a sale right now. You can save $30 for the next 4 days as we're recording this. So hop on it right away if you want to get the deal. It's a really nice, it's a nice product to put on your desk.
I wanted to make a PSA about charging blocks because you and I have lots of them, and we use them on trips, and we use them all the time. Yep. The airlines are beginning to crack down on these because there have been so many fires due to lithium batteries. So when you travel, you need to check before you get to the airport which one you've got and whether your airline lets that one on or not. Right. And a lot of the airlines like Southwest, the last 2 times I've traveled, if you've got one, you can charge it if it's laying out where they can see it when they walk by. You cannot have it charging something in your purse or in your backpack.
Interesting.
So
for heat purposes, yeah.
Yeah, they're just making sure that if it catches fire, they'll find out immediately.
Yeah.
Because evidently lithium fires burn fast and hot, much faster and spread faster than anything else. And
harder to put out. Yes. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Are the airlines, do they have different maximum? Because usually it's based on
some different maximums depending on the airlines.
Okay.
I went and looked.
Okay.
Now, they may all come up with one standard at some point. One airline was saying these particular models are fine. If you've got something else, no.
Yeah. The Anchor Prime power bank that I took with me over to Italy this summer, I think it's like 27,000 kilowatts, whatever it was, the milliamp hours, whatever, the 20, something like that, 26,000. It was like it's the maximum you can bring on a plane.
Right, you can't get a 50 or something like that. Yeah.
Right. So it's just something to be aware of.
And don't ever pack them in your luggage.
Right. Oh, yes. They'll ask, and you don't want it. Yeah, you don't want to put them in your luggage. You don't want that underneath.
In fact, this is not many people would be doing this, but I've got a headset, a virtual headset. And so when I pack it, I have to take the part that is the phone, basically it's an Android phone and there is the computer, take it out and put it in my carry-on. I just disassemble it, pull it off, put it in my carry-on, and the rest of them that I can pack in the regular suitcase, but not the spare batteries.
That's what happened to me. I had all of my podcast recording gear in one checked bag, and they're like, no, you have to take the batteries and put that in your carry-on bag.
Right, so that makes your carry-on awfully heavy.
It does. It was unexpected, so next time I'll be aware of it and prepared. To carry it with me. Very good. Thank you for that tip. That's important for folks who are traveling. And that's it from us this time. We would love to get your feedback on anything we talked about. You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC319. Be sure to follow The Secrets of Tech. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where you should hit the bell to get notifications after you've subscribed, of course. Until next time, Pat Scott, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks for having me.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy. The Secrets of Doctor Who. Find the show wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Doctor Who.